So, over the last 2 days, I have been watching people on the internet absolutely lose their minds over WNBA. Darling Sophie Cunningham saying that biological men should not be in the locker rooms of biological women, that they should not be competing against young female athletes. Crazy idea, I know, in 2026 that is very controversial to say. Now, what is even better is that when she was pressed after making these comments, she did not back down. She did not cower or apologize. No, in fact, she doubled down. But that is not surprising when you look at the way that she's been treated over the past 5 years. And so, I think what we can take away from Sophie's story is that the left's constant outrage campaigns, their constant attempts to belittle people, to try to destroy them and their reputations, to make them feel so small and so weak and so powerless, is actually accomplishing exactly the opposite of what they intend. And when you constantly complain and screech and attempt to destroy, when you try to back strong people into a corner, you might just make them bolder. Now, before we dive into Sophie's story, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and of course, ring that notification bell if you want to stay up to date on everything that we upload here on the channel. Alrighty. So before we talk about the recent comments that are going viral all over social media, we need a little backstory on Sophie Cunningham and all the things that have happened to her during her career in the WNBA. Because this is not her first time treading into treacherous waters with the online mob. So, the player Sophie Cunningham has been in the WNBA for a bit, but in terms of her widespread notoriety, especially online, she really took off last year after an altercation with fellow player J.C. Sheldon. So, Sophie plays for the Indiana Fever like Caitlin Clark, and they were playing against the Connecticut Sun back in 2025. And for essentially the entire game, Suns players had been ganging up on Caitlin Clark, which unfortunately, we've talked about this before, but that is something that was happening a lot over the last couple of years. And towards the end of the game, Suns player J.C. Sheldon literally poked Clark in the eye. And so, with seconds to spare at the end of the game, Cunningham literally came up from behind, grabbed Sheldon, pulled her to the ground, resulting in a flagrant foul and her being removed from the game. And here are those two moments. You can see them happening back to back. You can see Caitlin Clark, she's number 22, she is walking away. She's pulling her face down from her eyes. She's obviously in pain. And then they are going to cut to what Sophie Cunningham did in response. Oh, straight down to the ground. And then it turned into an all-out girl fight after the buzzer. So, obviously, like a pretty badass. Most people on the internet were obsessed. They were so happy to see somebody standing up for Caitlin Clark. That moment went ridiculously viral all over TikTok, all over X. She was praised for standing up for her beloved teammate. And from there, the partnerships and the sponsorships just started rolling in. I also think she gained almost like close to 1 million followers overnight on TikTok after that moment happened. So, literally, even though she'd been playing for a while, she exploded on the scene on the internet overnight. But with fame and positivity also comes the bitter trolls. And the bitter trolls did arrive as well. As her fame grew, the detractors claimed that she was only finding success because she was white. Obviously, the only reason she was going viral was because she was white and attractive. Meanwhile, black players like Angel Reese were getting called aggressive and thuggish or ghetto for having similar dominant behaviors on the court. And it just wasn't fair. For example, in a recent ESPN piece, by the way, this is also the source of the trans controversy, but we will get to that. But in that same ESPN article, a Michigan professor, who by the way is the director of the Center for Race and Ethnicity in Sport at the university, said, the moniker that has often been associated with Sophie is that she is the enforcer. Black female athletes, when they are too aggressive, it's labeled as classless or dangerous. That's hostile. That's violent. That language matters, Armstrong says. It tells a story. It tells a different kind of story depending on the protagonist. TLDR, depending on whether they are white or black is what she's saying. There have been black players that have had the enforcer moniker. They get endorsements with Ring or ADT or Vivint. None of those came to them. We didn't see the same type of media clamoring to them to represent their brands, to be their endorsers. Who Cunningham is white, feminine presenting, yes, she doesn't look like a butch lesbian when she walks out of the court, just saying. And in line with traditional beauty norms, Armstrong notes. And just as critically, who Caitlin Clark is helped set the tone for what Cunningham did last season and how it was received. So, because she is white, because she is attractive, because she is feminine, people liked the fact that she stood up for her teammate, and they liked the fact that she plays in a strong, aggressive way. All right, now first of all, just to respond to the initial part of her argument, those general players that you are talking about, the nameless players that you are lamenting over, they did not get sponsorships because we don't know who they are. I'm sorry, but we literally don't. You don't even list their names. Who are the people that should be getting sponsorships? Like objectively, there are not a ton of people, comparatively, who watch the WNBA. That is growing. Which is great, thanks to people like Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, which we'll get to her, but who are the people? We don't know them. Like if those nameless people that you feel like deserve the same things that Sophie Cunningham is getting, those black players, if they had a big viral amazing moment, I'm sure that more people and more brands would be interested. Maybe clips go viral because of race, because of attractiveness. Maybe they don't, but I'm sorry, it is. Not just blatantly Sophie's whiteness and her femininity that makes her attractive to brands. It is her relationship with the audience, with her fans, with the people who respond to her online. Case in point, Angel Reese, a black player, who also gets called aggressive, for better or worse. She's had a lot of viral moments as well. And guess what? Because she goes viral. Because she is notorious, infamous in some ways, she works with Reebok and Beats by Dre and Amazon and Reese's peanut butter cups and McDonald's and Barbie. Like, come on, people. It's not like she gets no sponsorships. That is a black woman, a black female player. Appears Sophie Cunningham and has very similar opportunities. And I would argue, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was getting opportunities like that before Sophie Cunningham went viral. So, in my opinion, my read on the situation is you are just continuing to look for something to be angry about. You are continuing to use race as a way to divide the women in this league, to divide the fan base and make it political. But in all actuality, these brands are excited about players that are going viral. They are excited that people are watching the WNBA and they want to be a part of that. They want to be attached to those lightning rod figures. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese is one of them, but also Sophie Cunningham. Now, on top of that, personally, I would argue that the situation with Sophie is also different because it's connected to Caitlin Clark, and she was already embroiled in, unfortunately, racial controversies because she was connected to Caitlin Clark. Like, for the last few years, people have been actively targeting and roughing up Caitlin Clark. They have been resenting her, even though she was bringing global attention to their sport and to the league. They claimed that it was her race and not her talent that was bringing attention. And at that point, obviously, with the poke in the eye, Sophie had enough, and she started defending her. And so, in addition to it just being an amazing, cool moment, I think the brands and fans responded to her because they wanted to see somebody big and bullish stand up for their beloved player who they felt had been treated unfairly. She was a hero in that story, and what brand, what fan does not want to take part in a hero's journey? And also, yeah, we're not going to lie, it doesn't hurt that she's tall, blonde, and hot, and has a great personality off the court. She's not PC. She's joyful. She clearly loves the game, and that, my friends, goes a long way. Smiling, I know, it's the, feminist thing. Don't tell me to smile. Smiling goes a long way. And if you want to call that white privilege, if you want to call it pretty privilege, go for it. I don't care. It is 2026. We are bored of that. I am not playing your games anymore. I'm not going to apologize for any of that. Anyway, needless to say, the online chatter, the response to her encounter with J.J. Sheldon, did not help the White privilege accusations and the attacks on her just continued to get worse when this is how she responded to a reporter asking about how the league, meaning the WNBA, could support players being attacked and criticized by fans, specifically on the topic of race. Just watch. What resources did the league provide for you guys as players to kind of help you try to filter through some of the hate and things like negative things that come through on social media? I think that I don't know what our league does to help with that. They really do. Anything. You can put out statements as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you're in an entertainment business. That's when mental toughness comes in. If you're going to live by praise, you're going to die by the hate. And so I think that's on the individual person to have mental toughness. Some people can deal with it, some people can't. And I think you can see the ones who can't. And unfortunately, there are some who can't, and it's not beneficial to them, but you can't control what other people say or what other people do. All you can do is control yourself, how you treat people. Speak up, and support people who, maybe don't have a voice or don't have the courage to do that, but it's one of those things. When you're in the entertainment business and you have to expect it. That is the perfect answer. She's being kind. She's saying, we can support people who are not as strong, that feel like they don't have a voice, but at the end of the day, you are in the entertainment business. And I think the best line in there, that if you're going to live by praise, you will die by the hate. Meaning, you cannot let that define you. I think something that's been really helpful for me being an online person and sharing my opinions is just having to constantly remind myself, because I certainly am a people pleaser. Like in my personal life, guys, I have had to deal with being a doormat. And so actually doing the show, making videos, has been an incredible thing for me over the last couple of years, and it's made me much bolder and much stronger even in my personal life, but you just have to constantly remind yourself that you're never going to make everybody happy. You are never going to please every single individual in the world. And so why try? Just be yourself and your community will find you. And so that is what she's saying. So TLDR, she's saying, toughen up, buttercup. And also, it's an individual problem. You got to figure it out for yourself. It is not a league problem. And you're going to see why. That pissed off the racial detractors. Now, speaking of problems, if you own a small business and you feel like you are always trying to play catch up, maybe you need quo. Because most customers are not waiting around for a callback. Maybe they are trying to book an appointment. Maybe they are looking for a quote. Maybe they just need help right now. Whatever it is, if nobody answers the phone, then they are calling the next business on the list. And that is why today's episode is brought to you by my friends over at Quo, spelled Quo. And that is the business phone system built so that you never miss a call. Quo's handles after-hours calls, answers questions, and even books appointments, so that you never miss a lead even when your team is offline. And as a customer, I can say this is so helpful because I hate when I can't get a hold of somebody, or when somebody doesn't even have a phone number to begin with. So use Quo. And whether you are in the middle of a busy workday out meeting clients or simply closed for the night, Quo keeps your business available when your customers need you most. Instead of sending callers to voicemail and hoping that they leave a message, hoping that you see it the next day, Quo makes sure every opportunity gets a response. That means if you more missed leads, better customer service experiences, and more business coming through the door. Money obviously is on the line for small businesses, so always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quwo.com/Brett. Again, that is quo.com Brett to get started. All right, now back to the story and why her comment about it being an individual problem rather than a league problem pissed people off so much. Well, it pissed people off because that was not a racially sensitive answer. So, the MLK Jr. Foundation even reposted that video. They were speaking out against her and the league, and they said, "Dear WNBA, bigoted, homophobic, and racist attacks on social media and otherwise are not outside noise. They are something that the Black and LGBTQ+ players in your league should have to increase their mental toughness to endure. You can and should address the issue with intentionality, strategy, and courage." So, they are quote tweeting the WNBA. They are saying, you should do more, but they are also quote tweeting Sophie Cunningham and saying, "This is a bad representation. You should not have to just toughen it up. We do not agree with her, and by you not doing anything, you are siding with her. And she's being insensitive, and so you have to do something about it." Now, when I first read this tweet, I was genuinely confused because I loved Sophie's answer so much. I was like, why is this even an issue? Why are people so angry at her? Why are there all of these comments agreeing with the MLK Jr. Foundation? Why are people so pissed? And then it clicked. And it actually makes sense why they would want the WNBA to fix the issue rather than just letting it ride on the individual shoulders, because remember guys, back in 2020, the Smithsonian told us that rugged individualism was a sign, it was a trait of whiteness. Which you can see right here. Rugged individualism, the top aspect and assumption of whiteness and white culture in the United States, according to the Smithsonian. I'm sorry, I just had to bring that up again because it was so insane. I cannot believe that we lived through 2020 and lived to tell the tale. Anyway, moving on. So, the point I I'm trying to make here is, again, she has been in hot water before. She has been accused of having pretty privilege. And white privilege, not being sensitive to those things. Her lesser charges have also been liking content in support of Donald Trump, posts that criticize vaccine mandates. She also follows some conservative accounts on social media, which, of course, people have watched like a hawk and reported on TikTok. Or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men. Just a second. Oh, yeah. Yeah. She got her talking points from a person that she follows on Instagram. Riley Gaines, the anti-trans activist, who finished 5th and has made her career off of that very finish. And then, Sophie, oh, yes. That's right. Let's follow the trend here. She also follows Charlie and Erica Kirk's Turning Point USA. Don't get it twisted. Man, I cannot imagine being an adult and wanting to subject young women to male genitalia. I cannot imagine being an adult and wanting to subject young children to gender confusion that could leave their bodies with irreversible damage that could render them sterile, unable to have any kind of sexual pleasure, unable to orgasm later in their life. I just cannot imagine doing that. See, it works both ways, actually. The majority of people in the comments were agreeing with this. Man, they were very pissed at Sophie Cunningham. But one person said, ha. Wow, so she can't follow people without people questioning her opinion. I follow people on both sides. Like genuinely, I don't know what Sophie Cunningham's politics are. Just based on what I am seeing people talk about the things that she likes, I'm guessing that she is probably more right-leaning. She is also a woman of faith, so that makes sense. But even though I talk about politics and I am a more political figure, like that's what people know me as, that is not how I filter my daily life. I cannot imagine living a life like that where I see somebody and before I can determine whether I want to be a fan of theirs, whether I'm going to get angry or happy, I have to go and look at their Instagram follows. Chill out. And genuinely, just chill the heck out. Now, another commenter on TikTok replied to that person and said, I want you to take a step back. Following people means subscribing to see their content. It influences you because you are choosing to adopt it. If those opinions happen to be bigoted or something, you may end up having rose-colored glasses for it. How can that person be bigoted because you follow them and there's no way that you're bigoted, right? I mean, come on. Guys? Come on. I'm just over it. And also, what did these people think was actually going to happen here? As they leave angry comments, as they tear through her follows and make expose a TikToks like, did they really think that outing who she followed would make her change her belief that they could bully her into submission? Well, probably, yes. I'm sure that they Thought that with 100% certainty because in the past, over the last 7 years or so 10 years honestly, that has worked. The mob, especially online, was able to bully people into silence and cowardice. They were able to threaten your job and reputation and actually follow through with it. They preyed on the belief that anyone who disagreed with them was too scared to push back and would immediately roll over and allow their lives, their values, their convictions to be destroyed. But not anymore, my friends. Times have changed and that strategy did not work for Sophie Cunningham. And I'm sorry to inform you. But actually it only emboldened her. And so now to bring this story full circle. This is what she said in the now viral ESPN profile earlier this week. So the author said, "You say that she's a mega Barbie," wrote the author, as some corners of the internet have taken to calling her projection, she says. Because of what she looks like and where she's from. She'll weigh in on how to protect women's sports, she says. Because she's in that world and feels qualified to speak to that world. I got a lot of negative feedback about me hating trans, and I'm like, I never once said that, she says. I think that I am here to extend love, but I also think that with love is truth, being honest. And I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in a sport who should not have to compete against biological men. Snaps for that. But she also insists that none of this is some Rosetta Stone to unlocking the true nature of her political worldview. I'm very much in the middle. I agree with things on both sides. I disagree with things on both sides, and that is all I've ever said about my political beliefs, but people love to assume. And the reason why people love to assume and attach labels, and honestly, both sides do this. I've done it, is because people want to feel important, because they want to see your name attached to their beliefs or their cause, because it validates them. And on the flip side, they want to attack you if they see you not agreeing with every single thing that they do, because it makes them feel important, because it makes them feel like they have skin in the game and they can keep fighting, and it's just an endless exhausting cycle. And honestly, guys, like I feel like most normal people, I certainly do, would agree and relate to what she is saying here. Falling somewhere in the middle. Agreeing and disagreeing with both sides on various things, because we are all nuanced normal individuals, and most importantly, just trying to stay sane and level-headed throughout it all. Trying to stay sane and level-headed and not compromise your values, have integrity with yourself in the midst of a world that is constantly changing, where there is so much literal misinformation, especially with AI. Like, this is just an aside, but I was putting this episode together and I was doing some research and I saw all of these articles saying that Sophie Cunningham had actually spoken out about race. And the allegation was that she said something on her podcast being like, the black girls are so upset that we are dominating their sport. There were all of these headlines about it. It was based on a viral AI voice-over that somebody had made that got 5 million impressions. Everybody ran with it. I mean, it is just literally so insane. It is hard to navigate this, and people are doing the best they can. Normal people just trying to stay true to their values and what they believe to be true. I know that all of that is a crazy concept for the angry chronically online, and so obviously all hell broke loose on all corners of the internet after she said this. For example, one person said, coming out as a piece of completely unprompted is certainly a choice. Another person said, I see a Fox News desk in her near future. Well, I mean, honestly, after she retires, that is not a bad idea. Maybe she'll even end up on Fox One. Now, Fox One, the streaming platform, is just $19.99 a month, and it includes all of your Fox favorites in one place. Yes, you will get the 24/7 news coverage, but you are also getting the biggest sporting events and shows like MasterChef, Farmer Wants a Wife, The Masked Singer, and Hell's Kitchen, all streaming live on one place. And honestly, shows like Farmer Wants a Wife alone makes it worth it for me, but Fox One goes way beyond just that. Between breaking news and major sporting events like the FIFA World Cup, WNBA, if you want to watch Sophie, the kind of can't miss content that keeps you hooked, it gives you a reason to cut the cable and just rely on them. And the best part is there is a 3-day free trial so you can try it out, fall in love with it, wonder why you didn't have it forever, and then move on and finally enjoy having it. Just go to fox.com to start streaming anywhere, anytime, and on all of your favorite devices. Offer subject to change. See Fox One for complete terms and conditions. Now, Fox One is the perfect affordable way to stay up to date on sports and entertainment while you're off studying at college, preferably studying at Grand Canyon University. Now, GCU does not settle for the status quo. They shatter it with academically rigorous, industry-driven programs that are built to move at the speed of relevance with practical skills, career readiness, and opportunity for every single learner. They are recognized for excellence in academics and in campus life. GCU's vibrant and campus was actually ranked in the top 20 best college campuses in the country by niche.com for 2026. And what I love about GCU is that they believe education should not be a privilege, but an affordable path forward for everyone, which is why this is amazing. They have frozen their tuition costs since 2009, with some of 380 programs, including 153 degree programs, 180 emphases, 56 certificate programs, online, hybrid, and in-person options at their beautiful Phoenix, Arizona campus. There is truly a path for every single kind of student. Grounded in Christian truth, GCU works to empower the next generation to lead with integrity, to serve with purpose, and help transform their communities and build a future that truly matters. So, if this sounds like something for you, Take action and find your purpose today. At GCU. It's private, it's Christian. It's affordable, it is non-profit. Visit gcu.edu to learn more today. All right. Now back to the story. Obviously, the discourse did not end on X. Over on TikTok, the posts immediately started. Just like this one. Let me make it crystal clear. Trans women are women. Trans girls are girls. And perhaps, Sophie Cunningham, you should worry a little bit more about your ass performance on the basketball court and a little less about what trans women are doing. Typical. And Blue Sky, of course, had a field day, with one girl saying, F Sophie Cunningham and all of the transphobes. Another person said, anyway, this is my favorite Sophie Cunningham photo. F her. And that's how I think when she tore her MCL while playing a game. Another person said, Sophie Cunningham, eat a ton of lettuce challenge. Obviously meaning go eat a bunch of the Taco Bell lettuce and get the absolutely explosive diarrhea disease. Now, I look at all of these posts and I see nothing but hate being spewed. The majority of posters, there is no logic, there is no scientific backing refuting her claims. They are not pushing back in any kind of meaningful way. They are just saying, we hate you. You're awful. You deserve to be injured. They call her bigoted and a piece of they say that she is hateful. All the while, they sit behind their phones, their little keyboards, and they wish injury and illness upon her. Meanwhile, this is the crazy thing. Sophie is actually making a very milk toast mild political statement in the year 2026. Because actually more than 70% of Americans agree that men should not be in women's sports, that we should keep them separate. That actually Title 9 was a great idea and we should not murky the waters. More than 70%. So in terms of politics, this is actually one of the safest things that Sophie